Hi! Welcome to the tutorial Adding and Configuring Content. In this tutorial, you will learn how to add images, videos, documents, and other assets that will help you tell your story. You could, for example, have an image slideshow that rotates by itself, or a document comprised of perhaps an Adobe Acrobat or Microsoft Word file, and even videos that can help you connect with your audience more effectively. The first thing I'm going to do is add an image to the background of my scene. This is easily done by dragging a Full HD image into the scene. Right-click and select Set as Background. And you'll notice that once it's applied, it shows up in the content library. It will also be automatically set as the background image for all other scenes in this experience. You can of course choose a different background image for each scene. Backgrounds can also be represented by any color or video of your choice. If I want to add content to my experience, I can drag and drop it directly into my scene. The content will be then listed in the content library, meaning it will be available for use across all other scenes in my interactive experience. So I've added this document, it's a PDF file, and now I can modify its properties to make it look and act the way I want it to when I run this interactive experience. Here I wanted to display it in book form, so I could turn the pages left and right, and then I dragged some resize handles and moved it to the appropriate place on my scene. Next I will drag a video into my scene. So again, what you see is what you get. I can resize the video as I wish. Now I'd like to create a slideshow effect. Notice that if I add several images to my scene, I can either insert them individually or as a collection. In this case, I want to create a slideshow, so I'll insert them as a collection. You can see in the Properties panel that the default collection type is the Asset Grid collection. I'm going to change it into Slideshow. Now our collection is a slideshow. Good! Let's kick this up a notch and learn how to create a more compelling effect. On the right side of this scene, you can see a carousel, and each individual item in this carousel is a flip chart. And every time you touch an item in the flip chart, it pops out and you can interact with it independently. This is a real cool effect that I'm going to teach you how to build. By the way, check out the 3D model on the left side. We won't discuss how to work with 3D models in this tutorial, I just want you to know it exists. Let's start building our carousel. Here I'm dragging a few images into the scene and choosing Insert as a collection. By default, every time you drag in a group of items and choose the collection option, it starts as an asset grid. Perhaps we'll look at the asset flow first. We won't use it in this experience, but it's a useful type of collection to get to know. The asset flow presents a sense of depth. You'll notice that the item in front is larger than other items. And through the use of the Properties panel, I can manipulate various aspects of how these items are displayed. For the carousel, we can change things such as the view angle, the spacing between items, and the size of those items. There are multiple ways to customize it and make it look exactly how we want. One thing we want is for it to look vertical. I'll do this in the Appearance Properties tab. And then I'll view the Behavior Properties tab so I can specify the behavior I want my items to have. For example, I want a copy of a touched item in the carousel to pop out. So I'm going to check the Tap Item to Open box. Let's see how this looks. We're now in play mode. I can rotate the carousel as much as I want. And whenever I reach a particular item in the carousel, I can touch it and out pops a copy. Now remember, we only added individual images to this carousel, so at the moment there's only one image per item. In fact, you can put anything inside a collection, including other collections. Let's see this by creating some flipchart collections that we will place inside the carousel. I'm going to grab 3 images from my content library, drag them into the scene, use the Properties panel to change my collection into a flipchart. Then I want to configure the properties of this flipchart a little bit, like simplifying the skin, making the controls at the bottom of the flipchart a little more visually appealing, etc. Again, there's a lot of ways to customize the look and make it very personalized. When I push play, just to give you a sense of how it works, here's my flipchart on the left. I use my fingers to touch the controls, move forward and backwards. There's one more thing I'd like to do before adding this flipchart to the carousel, and that's turning on the Tap Item to Open property, so that when my finger is touching the image, it pops out and I can interact with it. I've renamed the carousel and the flip chart just to keep track of all the elements in my experience. Then I simply drag the flip chart into my carousel, and there it is. It shows up as an additional item. I've just nested one collection inside another. Now that we are in play mode, we can see it in action. I'm using my finger to move the carousel. When I reach the flip chart, I can either use its buttons to rotate through its images, or by touching its center, I can make the displayed element pop out. I can interact with these copies as I wish. I could, of course, repeat these actions to have a carousel containing multiple flip charts. And just to show you how it looks in the scene structure panel, here are multiple flip charts, each of which is a child of the carousel. That's it for this tutorial. If you want to learn more about different content types, collections, and other topics, feel free to check out our instructional video library.